What's growing on, gardeners? After a decade of trying literally everything, I just developed the greatest vegetable garden trellis system ever. How did I do this? I put that weird engineering brain of mine to use. What I came up with is fabulous, and I can't wait to show you all.
If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and check out my Amazon store and Spreadshop links in the video description for everything I use in my garden and awesome custom apparel and gear.
Believe me when I tell you that I have tried literally every method of trellising and vertical gardening out there. I have tried old school methods like stakes and tomato cages. I've tried new school methods like Florida weave. I've built trellises out of welded wire fence and out of cattle panels. I was also one of the first YouTube gardeners to heavily promote string trellising your vines, and I've done this every way from string trellising along overhead steel cables to growing vines up my rain gutters to simulate greenhouse culture. All of them have had their pros and cons, with string trellising being by far my favorite method overall. However, this new development is a true game changer because it takes the best aspects of multiple methods and marries them together. Last winter, I told you all that I was seriously rehabilitating my garden and making a lot of changes. I built a series of new extra deep raised garden beds. I added fresh weed barrier to half my garden, and biggest of all, I was building a roof over part of my garden. I've shared some of the progress updates along the way with mostly positive feedback and a little bit of criticism, but between working my full-time job, planting out my garden for the spring, and this filming and editing schedule that I maintain for this YouTube channel, progress has been slow. But things are finally to the point where I can share this exciting new milestone. And that milestone is the new hybrid roof structure that I built for my garden that is designed to keep my rain-sensitive plants like tomatoes, peppers, and cucurbits dry. This roof structure is 35 feet long by 16 feet wide, and I settled on that size for a very specific reason. One, that is the longest length of 2x4s that they stock at most big box stores, 16 feet. And also, that is the length of the standard piece of cattle panel that they stock at Tractor Supply. That is because the true purpose of this hybrid roof structure is to function as both a plant cover and a trellis. So here is how the roof system is going to work. I purchased a piece of 16 foot by 40 foot 6 mil greenhouse plastic that I'm going to unroll on top of the cattle panel. I will secure the greenhouse plastic in place with 1x4 boards and furring strips so it doesn't blow off in the wind. The roof itself is constructed on a 2.5% slope, so during periods of heavy rainfall, most of the rainwater will shed off. However, because it will be impossible for me to pull that greenhouse plastic as tightly as you can in a high tunnel, there will be inevitably some pockets of water that accumulate here and there, and that weight of the water weighing down, when you factor in the entire size of the roof, it will be significant. So the cattle panels themselves will easily support that sag in the greenhouse plastic, preventing any significant sagging that would otherwise potentially cause an issue where the plastic could be weighed down and tear off. And the cattle panels will also act as an overhead grid that I will be able to clip on or hook on double tomato hooks and string trellis my vines up to the roof. The way that I built this roof structure is as follows. 4x4 posts are spaced every 8 feet. Connecting those posts are trusses made out of 16-foot 2x4s. Then, 2x4 cross braces are built perpendicularly every 4 feet for support. Once the wood supports were constructed, I picked up a bunch of 50-inch by 16-foot cattle panel sections, rested the cattle panels up against the wood frame, and I manually fed them onto the top of the roof. This was surprisingly simple for one person to do. I then shifted the cattle panels into a side-by-side orientation until they were in line with each other, spanning the wood braces for support. Each cattle panel was then secured in place by hammering in some fencing staples, which is a very affordable way to secure metal panels to wood. The end result is a beautiful roof structure where the cattle panels themselves will function as both a trellis system and support for the greenhouse plastic I am going to install as the roof. Because my summers are so brutally wet, humid, and miserable here in the coastal southeast, I have made the decision that it is best to have a solid roof above this portion of my garden because your tomatoes, your peppers, eggplant, cucumbers, squash, and melons, they are very susceptible to pests and diseases caused by heavy rainfall. However, if you have much drier summers than I do, and rainfall and humidity doesn't badly affect your plants, you may want to consider a system like this and leave it roofless. You can hang the double tomato hooks with the strings down and then string trellis your vines up to the roof and then let them vine out all along the cattle panel and create a dappled light situation above your garden. You would basically be building yourself a two-story garden with a beautiful, natural, vining canopy situation above, which effectively doubles the square footage of your garden because now you have two levels that you can grow food on. This lower level and now an above level. So now that I showed you all my innovative new trellis design, I will show you how I'm going to trellis the plants. This has always been my intention since day one, so I had to temporarily stake my tomato plants until I could finish this roof trellis system. As you can see, the stakes are performing badly. This is why I do not like tomato stakes. Now it's time to rescue these poor plants before the vines start breaking. If you are curious about any of these trellising products that I am using, I will place direct links down to them in the video description for your convenience. To accomplish the trellising, we are going to use two different pieces of material. The first piece of material that we are going to use is one of these double tomato hooks with synthetic twine. These are very affordable. Again, I'll link to these in the video description. This is going to hook on top of the cattle panel. We are going to drop the twine, and then once the twine is lowered to the ground, we are going to clip the main stems of the tomato plants onto the twine using these. These are called plant clips, and this is what will adhere the vines to the twine. So the first thing I did was I unspooled a whole bunch of this twine, enough that it will be able to reach the ground, or the bottom of the raised beds rather. And then I'm going to step up on this raised bed, and I'm going to hook this into the top of the cattle panel in such a way that it aligns with one of the stems that I want to support. So I think I'm actually pretty good right here. So that tomato hook right there is hooked onto the cattle panel, and then we will follow it down and look at this viney mess that we have to deal with right here. See, ideally you would do this before it gets completely out of control, but unfortunately I've just been too busy, so I now have to deal with the problem right now when it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So the first thing I have to do is I have to find the main stem that I actually want to tie up. So this right here is the main stem I want to support, and I'm going to take this twine and I'm going to put it around the main stem, and I am going to clip it right underneath one of the leaf nodes. So just to show you this from a little bit of a better angle, you always want to put the individual clips underneath one of these leaf nodes. So here's the main stem right here. Then we have a leaf node where there is a 90-degree leaf offshoot. We want to clip it right underneath there because we need something for the clip to hook onto. So that's why we always want to pick a node. And then you can work your way up this vine. You can kind of weave the string in almost like an S pattern around that vine. That way the vine will wrap around for a little bit more support. And then we'll work our way up to this node right here as well. And same thing with this node. We will take our double tomato clip right here and we will clip that underneath one of the nodes, and that will provide support for that vine. Now we're going to do the same thing with this viney mess down here that has kind of spilled itself out of the bed. Again, we're going to pick up one of the stems. We're going to, I actually installed a new double tomato hook. I'm going to wrap the twine around the stem, and then I'm going to place it underneath one of the leaf nodes in a place where it will support the weight. Okay, so now that is hooked on down low, let's bring the vine in a little bit more, lift up these leaves, and we will place another clip somewhere underneath a leaf node. And then we will do one more clip up top. Oof, look at this Brandy Boy plant. This thing is just loaded with a gigantic amount of beefsteak tomatoes, and they are all lying on the ground. Again, this has been kind of a miss of a year for me, a bit of a transitional year, because I spent so much time rebuilding my garden, and I am just really behind. I know I'm just making excuses, but next year I will do better. So I strongly urge for all of you out there, you do not let your tomatoes get this big before you really start staking them up. See, sometimes these tomato clips are a little bit of an iterative process. You put them a little bit lower or higher than you want, and you'll just have to do it a couple of times. But once you nail it and you get that first one clipped in, it all becomes so much easier. So, wow. This is like staking up a fruit tree. It's so big and loaded with fruit. All right, so we have the bottom of that monster vine clipped in. Then we'll take another clip here underneath a leaf node. And I'll tell you what, this vine right here is so big, it's going to need additional support. It must weigh 10 pounds already. It's like holding a plate at the gym. Not that I would know anything about that. There we go. Now that is clipped in and off the ground, and it is looking fantastic. One thing you may encounter when string trellising your tomatoes is you have to leave a little bit of extra slack in the string in order to have something to grab onto and clip the clips to the actual vine. So at first, there may be a little bit more slack than you want in the individual strings, and that's not a big deal. Simply string everything up and leave it so there's a couple inches of additional slack, and then you can just stand up and you can either unhook things and you can move them to the exact slats where you want them to go in order to increase the tension, or you can just take your hands and you can wrap a little bit of string around the slack. Pull down really hard on the cattle panel trellis above in order to create a little bit of slack, and then when you wrap the string around this bottom hook a little bit, you will create more tension in the line. Let's give it one more wrap around, and I want to do the same thing here. You see there's just a little bit more slack than I want in the system right there, so let's pull the double tomato hook down and then pull the plant up. You just don't want to make it so tight that you start breaking the vines. You want a nice firm tension, but you don't want a hard tension that's going to create a lot of rubbing or snap anything. And here is the final results of the string trellising. Remember, this whole aisle right here, it was tough to walk through. But now I have all of these individual strings that are holding up the tomatoes. And you will just see how beautiful everything looks. You'll see all the clips on the tomatoes there, all the clips on the tomatoes there. Remember, these tomatoes right here were all hanging down into the aisle, and now everything is clear. Same thing as we go around, these were all shooting out everywhere. But now everything for the most part is neat and tidy. Now let's take a walk on the other side of this tomato bed right here. Remember, I couldn't even walk through here before, but now I can pass through with relative ease. It's not too bad at all. And remember, this big Brandy Boy tomato, this was completely toppled over. This was hanging out into the aisle and the stake had fallen over. So this took quite a few supports right here. But hey, everything is a-okay now. So just remember, folks, do this early in the tomato's life and stay on top of it. It'll be a lot easier because once you get the tomato plant started, it's really easy to just add another clip along the main stems every 6 to 12 inches to keep the supports going. So now the supports for my largest tomato bed are done. I just have 2 smaller beds left. This one is a determinate tomato bed. This will be a lot easier to do since these grow as a bush and not a vine. They won't need quite as many supports. It's getting a little late to do this tonight, so I will finish that tomorrow. But this bed right here is another indeterminate tomato bed behind these eggplants right here. So there's a lot growing on right here. One of the indeterminate tomatoes was so outrageously large, I had to stake it up because we're going to get a little storm tonight and I didn't want it to blow over and break. But these tomatoes in this bed, they are absolutely gorgeous. And then we will get a handful of the tomatoes on the other side. Now, because this garden right here is so new, I've never grown in these beds before, I was a little bit aggressive with the plant spacing, and that's because I didn't know how many I could really fit in this area comfortably. And now I know in future years I will probably have to be a little bit more generous with the spacing, because I think I may have overplanted those tomato beds. But hey, you live and learn. That is one of the fun things about gardening. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, you always learn new things every year. Oh, and check this out. While I was staking everything up, look what I found here. I found the first cluster of ripe sun sugar fruits for the year. Oh my goodness. Look at this, May 26th, and I have ripe sun sugars. Sun sugar is one of my absolute favorite of the cherry tomatoes. They are like a more disease and crack resistant version of sun gold. These are better than any grape you will ever eat. It's hard to describe how delicious these are. I wait all year for these. They are so sweet, they are so citrusy. Even if you think you don't like tomatoes, you will love these. And that right there is what I legitimately think just may be the greatest garden trellis ever made. Not only is it an amazing way to strongly trellis your vines, like your tomatoes, your cucumbers, and your squashes, or your peas, or anything else that vines and grows up, but having a roof overhead that could then support those vines. Well, if you don't need to cover it, like me, in a really wet climate, you can actually double your garden's footprint, because you can grow on floor 1 and you can grow on floor 2. So you can use vertical gardening to your advantage. There's just so much potential when it comes to this orientation right here, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I can't wait to see how it performs. Yes, I know that this is a little bit more of an advanced build. You will have to set some posts, and it takes a little bit of effort, but I gotta tell you, I am just so thrilled with the way it looks. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that you can't take this idea as inspiration and make your own smaller scale version. You don't have to have all of these posts. You don't have to have everything so tall. So you can get creative with the idea and you can incorporate this on a small scale. The idea is to really have the overhead cattle panel above, and then the strings from the string trellis that go up and hook onto the cattle panel so you can feed the vines up above. And I'm sure there is a million different ways that you can make that happen in a much easier and simpler design. So everybody, I sure hope you found this video helpful and inspiring. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and please ring that notification bell so you're notified when I release more videos like these. If you're curious about any of the products that I featured in this video, I place direct links to all of them down in the video description, and for everything else I use in real life in my garden, they are all linked in my Amazon storefront in the video description. So expand the video description, click on the Amazon storefront link, and you'll see everything I use in real life. And while you're down there, please consider checking out my spread shop if you want to support my channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video.
Dale, are you enjoying what is left of that blueberry frozen yogurt? Your tongue is so long, it looks fake. Dale, you're fitting your entire noser in that container. Are you enjoying yourself, my son? None left, huh? But that won't stop him from checking again.